another day of adventures with Wes and Jeff. I'm at Glacier Bay National Park and it's in Gustavus, Alaska, way up in the southeastern part of Alaska, about 46 miles from Juneau, Alaska. So stick with me today and I'll show you the things to see and do at this interesting park. Glacier Bay National Park is one of 8 national parks in the state of Alaska. This 3.3 million acre or 5,037 square mile remote park is located in the southeastern corner of the state between the border with Canada and the Gulf of Alaska, about 50 miles northwest of Alaska's capital, Juneau. With no roads leading into the park, the only accessible option for the 700,000 annual park visitors is to visit by ferry boat, cruise ship, or by plane. A couple of small companies fly air taxis over, but Alaska Airlines is the only commercial airline that provides daily nonstop service from Juneau to a small village of Gustavus, population 600, with free shuttle buses to the park headquarters and visitor center about 10 miles from the airport. Glacier Bay is home to its namesake over 1,000 terrestrial and tidewater glaciers, 4 actively calving and delivering icebergs into the bay, and 7 tidewater glaciers. Glacier Bay is one of the most scenic, protected areas in North America, with towering mountains, majestic coastlines, incredible rainforests, striking fjords, and an abundance of wildlife both on land and from the sea. If you want to visit the park and the actual bay and see the glaciers, most people visit on a cruise ship or on a daily tour that departs from the Bartlett Cove Visitor Center and park headquarters. If you want to hike some of the 14 miles of hiking trails, visit the park's visitor center, camp at the 33-site campground, or kayak into Glacier Bay, or even stay at the park's lodge, you must visit Bartlett Cove. This is Gustavus, Alaska. And that's how we get off the aircraft. Gustavus, Alaska, and this is their terminal. All of this, just one gate, and all these people, these are folks getting off the aircraft from Juneau, and then the folks that are going back on the same aircraft back to Juneau, and then on to other Alaska Airlines destinations. So this is Gustavus, Alaska, Glacier Bay, they call it as well. And that's the baggage claim up there, just that one little spot. Pretty cool. Checked into the lodge here at the National Park at Glacier Bay here at Bartlett Cove, and my room is number 28, and it's a nice little room, cozy, with a beautiful view, has a king-size bed, kind of rustic, and I have a view of Bartlett Cove right out my window. I'm along the Tlingit Trail here right outside the lodge, so you just come down the hill from the rooms. My room is just right up those stairs there, and it just empties right into this nice little half-mile trail. It's called the Tlingit Trail. The Tlingits were the original clan of 4 tribes of Indians, Native Americans, Native Alaskan Americans that occupied this area prior to the national park and prior to Alaska becoming a state with the United States. But this nice little half-mile trail is a really nice introduction and a great little trail to go down and check out the cove, as well as there's interpretive signs that explain about the plants that you see along the trail that are in this area, and how those Tlingit folks used the different types of plants in different things that they would use for medicines as well as for food, etc. And so here's the trail here. It goes down off that way to the right, down to the Huna house, which the Huna house is a Tlingit tribe building along with the Park Service to honor them, as well as a ceremonial place. So along the Tlingit Trail is this hut here that was built over the skeleton of a humpback whale. The humpback whale's name was Snow, and she was well known here in the cove. She came back every summer for her feeding from coming up from Mexico or Hawaiian Islands. And so this tells about Snow. I will explain to you about that. So this is the skeleton of Snow. It's 45.5 feet long. And on June 25th of 2014, the Glacier Bay National Park celebrated the grand opening of this exhibit of Snow. And it's the largest humpback whale skeleton on public display in the United States, and it's right here at the park. And she was a big girl. So her massive 3,729 pound skeleton is housed here in this beautiful outdoor display pavilion, just a short walk from the lodge. The return of Snow to her permanent home here at Bartlett Cove was a much homecoming celebration back in the day. The lifespan of a humpback whale is up to 100 years, and most humpback whales can live 80 to 90 years. This humpback whale weighed 35 tons, and she was born back in 1957, and she unfortunately perished in 2001. But that's the front of her there. It's amazing how large this skeleton is of this mammal. Along the Tlingit Trail is a canoe that they reconstructed on how they hunted and fished in this area and part of their tradition. I just want to show you the details of this hollowed out canoe made from spruce trees. So this is the canoe that they reconstructed. So the canoe, part of Tlingit culture, the hunters and fishermen that they were could read the sea and They could read the sky and the tides and their lives depended on it for their food and subsistence here in the Glacier Bay area. They were brilliant packers. They would load these canoes with household provisions and fishing gear and stay out all summer to collect bird eggs, hunt seals, pick berries, and catch salmon. They traveled with the tides and knew every good beach to make landfall along the way. Once ashore, they protected their canoes by burying them about 2 feet in wet sand to keep the keels moist and to prevent them from cracking in the summer heat. And the canoe represented a tremendous investment for them in time and energy, and often individual canoes were given actual names. So this is a 22-foot Sitka spruce dugout canoe made with their traditional methods. The Tlingit used these canoes not only for hunting but for transportation as well. They would use these canoes to go to a different clan. There were like 4 clans, and they would go to the other village and visit the other clans for like weddings and different ceremonial things. That's a little red squirrel. See his red tail, bushy. He's curious. They have a short tail. And they kind of at one of the 4 hiking trails that they have here at Bartlett Cove at Glacier Bay National Park. This one is called the Beach Trail over to the campground. It's a 1/4 mile. It goes along the shoreline of Bartlett Cove here, and it goes all the way down to the campground. The campground is a 33 site campground, first come, first serve. You have to have a permit from the visitor center here in order to camp there. But if you make it out this far, you're more than likely you're going to be able to find a spot. But this is a nice little trail right along the shoreline of Bartlett Cove. So I'm going to take this down to the campground, check that out. I just arrived, so I'm just starting to get my feelers out on what's here. It says to watch out for moose, and one thing you do with the moose is if you do spot one and if for some reason they charge you, try and go to the thicket and get behind a tree. They have a hard time navigating those antlers through the trees. The other thing is, of course, the grizzly bears and the black bears frequent this area. So I have to keep my eye out. It's a 1/4 mile. I'm going to take this little trail and see what there is to offer. Walking along Beach Trail, the 1/4 mile along the Bartlett Cove, and these Sitka spruce are very tall and very stately. Pretty cool to walk amongst this Sitka spruce tree. They have hemlock as well, but it's a nice wide level trail, just with a little bit of bark on it. It's a lot of moss because they get a lot of rain here. About 76 inches of rain per year. So I'm the only one on the trail. It's around 6 o'clock in the evening. So it's just really pleasant. No wind, nobody else on the trail. Kind of nice and just relaxing. But the Sitka spruce are a pretty interesting tree. They have this kind of bark and it kind of has like alligator scales, and then it's just tall. They go way up. These things are at least about 200 feet tall, 200 feet tall, pretty tall. And there's a lot of them. It's pretty dense. And then this is like carpet. It's got this moss all over here and some low-lying shrubbery. It's just really pretty, nice, peaceful walk along. Down the trail, you'll come along an area that branches off from the trail and it goes into the actual campground. So these are the camp spots. They have porta pots out here decomposing, and there's nice space between each of the campgrounds. They provide you wood for the firewood for your campfire. And there's like nuts. They've kind of cleared out a spot, but they are numbered spots. So you can set up camp at any of these spots. Some information about the humpback whales that you can see out into Bartlett Cove. And like I said, there's the wood that they've already prepared for everybody. This is the warming shelter. So they have wood burning stove here that people can sit around and kind of compare stories of what they have seen and done here at Glacier Bay National Park. Very nice campground. Here at the campground, they have a campfire ring that's down on the beach, just so that it's protected away from the forest area. So they don't allow them to have campfires in their campground. They have to have a campfire ring down by the shoreline. So as you stroll through the forest trail, this is a young forest full of vigor and change. Every rock, plant, and animal has a name, a history, a story. It's good to just spend some time here along the trail and walk the trail and look for clues that the glacier ice once towered really thick, deep in this area. So it is now recovered. 250 years ago, this area was covered completely by a glacier, but it has receded and now it's forested growth. So as you walk along the forest trail, see these rocks here. They made steps out of them, but these rocks were moved here by the glacier ice. You'll see that there is a lot of moisture around the trees and this moss. And look at these mushroom things. Those are so cool, that are built right into this log. And then there's a lot of moss on everything. But intermixed with the logs and the decaying of the logs that are these big boulders. And these big boulders were moved here by that glacial ice over the time. And we're sliding down towards the tidal water. So pretty interesting. As you're walking on the forest trail, coming from the campground, which is the farthest distance, you come upon the boardwalk section. The boardwalk section is right here by this little pond, and the boardwalk section is wheelchair accessible. Very nice. And we got, I think, a little loon out there. The Blackwater Pond is what this is called. Imagine this spot 250 years ago when the glacier left behind a jumbled array of rocks and boulders and a large piece of ice. The ice melted into depression underlain by non-porous layer. Embedded in the piece of ice was a boulder, and the boulder's right there. A glacial erratic is what they call it. And that glacier erratic had been carried here from mountains far away. It's not native to this area. So that boulder and the one off in the distance were both carried here by ice in the glaciers. The depression filled with water to become a pond, and alone in the middle became an island of sorts, crowned by mosses, grasses, and perhaps even a small tree here or there. So this was not the natural landscape before the ice started to retreat and started moving. But and here's an explanation of the landscape with the ice and how it advanced downwards towards the tidal area that's just been, and the glacier retreated here. So we're right here where that boulder is, and of course the glaciers are back up. But interesting how the forces of nature Glacier Bay Lodge and Visitor Center. It's kind of like the main hub of all the activity here at Glacier Bay at Bartlett Cove. When you go inside the Visitor Center, I'll show you all that. It's got a great view out over the cove. You got a registration desk. Over here to the right, we have a gift shop, some restrooms, and this is the main lobby. Then you have a restaurant that is here. They hold your luggage until you are ready to go. At the end of the day, this is the restaurant overlooking the bay on the first level. And if you go upstairs, there's a visitor center upstairs in addition to the one that they have at the boat dock at the ranger station. So if you go upstairs, you'll see there's a ranger here answering questions, showing people things. And here's about the baleen from a humpback whale. And there's a skeleton here. And then it tells about the different animals and things that you can see here at Glacier Bay. The pink salmon spawning, the golden eagle, you got your moose, and the river rafting, the jay, the stellar jay, you got the grizzly bear, you got the mountain goat, and birds. You've got the marten, as well as stellar sea lions, grizzly, and tells all about the brown bear, which is also called the grizzly. And of course your sea life, which is humpback whales, as well as your Dungeness crab. I am walking along the shoreline here at Bartlett Cove, and this is the sunset. It's currently almost 10 o'clock at night. The sun doesn't even set here until another 45 minutes, but it's setting way off in the distance. Here in Alaska, we're so far north, but it's low tide. The lowest tide for the day is at 10 p.m. And so I've watched the water recede all the way down. From high tide to low tide here is 25 feet. So it's pretty dramatic. It's just amazing to see how far the tide has gone. I'm gonna go down towards the water line, see if I can find some starfish, and sometimes you can see it. The starfish are waiting for the tide to come back up, which it'll slowly come back up. Are usually underwater, but not right now because this is super low tide. And you gotta kind of watch out for the bears because they do like to get the clams and things. Because I see clam shells and it's pretty wet. So like these big clams, that one's been broken into, but really pretty. So these are some of the ones that are exposed. These are all living creatures, little clams inside here. You can see that they're clinging on. They're waiting for the tide to come back so they can feed on plankton and different things that they capture when the water is at a higher level. But these rocks were all moved here, glacial, back and forth. I'm here at the lodge at Glacier Bay, and this is Bartlett Cove. Often the distance is very calm waters. A lot of times you can see humpback whales out here fishing, and they jump up. Only seen some water swooshing around, but no tails this morning. Start of the Tlingit Trail along the shoreline is a ranger station and also a visitor center. There's two visitor centers here at Glacier Bay. One at the lodge in the upstairs section where rangers hold programs. You can get your book stamped and those types of things, as well as there's one here and they have some ranger-led programs. But this area is where the boat dock is, and you can go out to catch the daily boat that goes out into Glacier Bay, and also smaller boats and kayak rentals are here at the dock. Here at Bartlett Cove, you can rent kayaks for the day, and that's what they're doing right here, is they're getting these kayaks ready for folks to take out onto the cove and then on over. Some of them, if you have a full day, you can go all the way over to Glacier Bay, into the bay itself. But they rent these each and every day. You have to have at least you and a partner. They will not rent them to a single person. These waters are extremely cold, and there's a instructional video and some instruction that you must follow in order to rent these kayaks. Otherwise, you can take a boat out into Glacier Bay, but a lot of people opt to do the kayaks instead and it gives them the independence to be able to explore these waters of this cove as well as Glacier Bay National Park. This is the boat dock area here at Bartlett Cove. This is a beautiful area. If you ever get a chance to come up to Gustavus and stay in this area, there's a boat ride that will take you into Glacier Bay National Park for the day. It's a little pricey, but it's totally worth it if you've not been there on a cruise ship. Jeff and I have actually both been there on a cruise ship, so I am just here for the day to do some of the 3 trails that they have here at Bartlett Cove, and to kind of take in the scenery from land. The trail here at the Tlingit Trail is the Huna Tlingit hut, and it's used for ceremonial purposes, and it's right here right along the trail and overlooking the cove. So there's a guy here that is carving out a totem pole, and I get him doing that. Take a little tour of the actual facility. So it looks like he's spraying it with some stuff, and it's gonna look like this when he's all done. Looks like he has some of it. Looks like that could be maybe the base that he's working on right there. And we'll paint it with these traditional colors when he's all done. This is so this is the inside. It's got 4 columns and has this integral totem pole. Lots of detail in this. A dog.
And our ancestors knew that because they were sustainable.
Got some fish. It's pretty cool. Totem pole, lots of colors in it. Every single character that they've put, there's a fish. Every character has a meaning, spiritual meaning to them. This is a very spiritual place. They have their ceremonies here, and the 4 clans that originated here, they did the combination, and so and they have the fire pit in the middle, and they have a park ranger here explaining the whole process. And this is that, and it's a door within a door, and it opens out to the bay. Very cool. Very nice place. I'm at the Bartlett River Trailhead. It's also the Bartlett Lake Trailhead. It's about a 2-mile hike, so 4 miles round trip. I'm gonna head off here into the woods and check out this Bartlett River Trail. This particular one is here. I'll show you on the signage here, the little map. This particular trail starts here. I started over at the lodge and I walked over the 0.3, and then so it's 1.7 up to the river inlet here, and there's an estuary area where you can sometimes there's bears there fishing, but it's this is the trailhead. If you go this way, it goes all the way up to Bartlett Lake, but that's about 4.7 miles from here, so about 9 miles round trip. So I'm just gonna do the smaller one, this green one, up to the Bartlett River Trail. So this trailhead is for both the river and the lake trails, and the river trail meanders through the forest before ending at the mouth of the river. I'm going to try and look for some bald eagles and some moose and belted kingfishers and harbor seals. Each summer, thousands of salmon run up this river, and longer and more primitive, the lake trail offers a serene day hike and views of the wilderness lake. So that's both the coho salmon and the sockeye salmon. So the bears really like this area. I have my bear spray, so I'll make sure that I have that handy. And of course, you know, the moose like to munch on the green in this area as well. So, oh yeah, this is the lupin. The lupin is really blooming this time of year, so it looks really nice and it's healthy. So stick with me and I will show you what there is to see and do at the Bartlett River Trail. I'm currently on the Bartlett River Trail, and it's in very dense forest, and it's so quiet. I only noticed one other van that was at the parking lot, so there might just be only a couple other people on this trail. It's 1.7. The Park Service has put in a nice, there's some other areas that can, when it's raining a lot, it could get really boggy. So they've put in these elevated sections with grippies on it so that you can get some grip on your boot and you're not slipping. Heavily wooded, lots of moss on the down trees, and it's a pretty good trail. I mean, there's some roots and different things. It's a little squishy in some areas, but very nice of a trail. They look like little shelves on this tree. So hiking along the Bartlett River Trail, this is the break off here. This up this way goes to the Bartlett Lake. It's an additional 4.5 miles from here to this point. And then this direction is down to the Bartlett River, which is 1 more mile. And then back the other direction I just came, 0.6 back to the trailhead. So almost about halfway to the Bartlett River. So along the trail here, this big chunk of quartz looking rock was moved here many miles via the glacier. So crossing over a little bit of water. So water goes through here. It's really quiet. This is really peaceful. There's a few other people. Another lady on the trail here. Once you get down to the end here of the trail, there's a nice little bridge that crosses over this creek that flows down into the river. And just gonna go a little bit further, see if there's some more viewing points. Since I've come all this way, to make sure that I get to the very end. This is really pretty, opens up, expansive. And this is kind of a little marshy because it's coming down out of the hills. So at the end of the trail here, it opens up to the Bartlett River. And there's a nice little bend in the river there. And let's see what we can see. Pretty. Gorgeous. Nice little rock for me to sit on and just take in this beauty. There's an eagle. Yeah, hi, Mr. Eagle. When I visit these national parks in our great nation, it's amazing, the views. They're all so unique and different from each other. People often ask me, hey, Wes, what's your favorite national park? You've been to so many now. This is like your 60th national park out of the 63. And I always answer the same way. It's like, they're all so unique and special in their own way. So it's hard to compare one to the next. But I do like the scenic beauty. This is outstanding. This is just makes you reflect and appreciate the things that you have in life and the scenic beauty. The natural part of Alaska is my favorite state by far. And it's just so beautiful. And to sit here and reflect on it and to look out onto these mountains and the coastal water and the serenity. It's just amazing to be able to do this, and I'm very fortunate, and Jeff and I are very fortunate to be able to experience these things in life. So get out and see your national parks. Get out to the great outdoors and see some of these things. It will do your heart and your soul justice, and make you reflect on your life, and make you appreciate these natural beauties that we all appreciate. So get out to the great outdoors and do something that makes you smile. Thank you for joining me today here at Glacier Bay National Park. I appreciate you sticking to the very end and experiencing the natural beauty of this great park up in Alaska. Whatever you're doing today, get out to the great outdoors and do something that makes you smile.